Hello there, right here. Welcome to our stream. Today is Saturday, January 6th. We have officially made it into the weekend. First weekend, January, which is pretty cool. This is some people's last holiday for the whole Christmas, New Year's holiday. And I know, usually the next holiday is, what is it? President's Day or something for the United States? Pretty far out there. Really don't know what it is. I guess spring break is also a pretty big holiday. Yeah, welcome everybody in the stream. Can you ask when do we normally start the stream? I usually start it and then let people join, give time for people to join, and then we start the in-game stuff. Take a time to chat with everybody. Man, we got Zan here too. Just getting closer to the next milestone. I think the next milestone is 20 hours, and then there's 50 hours gets you opt. Maybe that's the next one. The last stream, we started recording the video all about the best types of fuel sources. We actually got pretty far during recording. Hopefully we can finish up today. Maybe put the video out by tomorrow. That would be nice. Now we got down to the last couple fuel sources that we thought would be the winners. We did talk about preparing bone meal, ones that don't. You like depending where you want to use your bone meal. We'll look into that today. Hopefully, don't find anything too new. That way, I don't have to postpone recording the rest of the video. Peter says added some super smelters. Got chunk banned? Did you really? I didn't know that was impossible with normal smelters. It's always good to have a backup. Okay, well, there's an ad running. I'll write a little message about what we are working on today. And I'll make sure to send that out to my community tabs. So the Northern Hemisphere, I think this is kind of longer days. Well, I mean, the longer days is like what, December 21st, I think, maybe one of the longest days. But it definitely seems like, I guess the colder days, that's what I'm thinking. So as we get to January, usually they're the coldest days of the year. I don't know exactly what day in January, but I think somewhere in January, even February. For some reason it seemed pretty cold. Maybe it just takes time for like ground to get cold, water to get cold. They always say like water contains a lot of heat, so it probably takes a good portion of the winter time before the water really cold. Alright, let me finish up writing these messages and then we will get going. Hope you guys all having a great Christmas holiday and Happy New Year's. Let me know what day you actually finish up your holiday. I was talking to some people and they were saying it's this weekend is usually, I mean, if you don't have to start like right after New Year's. Some people start like on January 3rd, but other than that, it's usually this weekend. Makes me all think that Mojang might start releasing snapshots. They already started fixing some bugs, but I think they might actually release snapshot next Wednesday. We probably got that to look forward to. New snapshots. Surprisingly, when there's this period between the New Year's and Christmas vacation, because there's no new snapshots coming out, it actually gives me time to finish some of my projects, and I was able to finish some of the projects like we've seen. Very nice. Okay, what is the plan? Okay, everybody's back. Welcome back, everybody. Okay. I'll send these announcements off. If you guys are subscribed to me over at my YouTube, bell notification set to all, you will get up to date on what I'm up to. Not only new videos, but also streams I'm working on, in real life photos I'd like to post over there. As well as I do polls. Also do polls on my YouTube community tab. Really helpful. See what everybody has to say. Hey, Cosmic Piggy. What's Cosmic Piggy up to? What do they call that? Cosmic Piggy. What do they call that? Interstellar pig? Have you heard of the... Oh! Mac 976. Thanks so much for coming in with the Prime. 3 months worth of Prime, that's insane. Thank you so much, Mac. What is Mac up to? You guys don't know, you guys can get a free Twitch Prime. Just do free sub. Oops. Oh. There's a walkthrough right there. It'd be just like Mac, so with using Amazon or Twitch. Make sure to use it up every month as a great way to support me for no extra cost. Just like Mac, and you also get a bunch of perks, which you can check out that link there that says raise some perks. A bunch of different perks, including access to a supporter server, special emotes, no ads, extra badges, special channel privileges on my Discord, and a lot more. Alright, I got those announcements sent off. Yeah, thank Mac for coming in with that. Helping us get closer to our sub goal too, top right hand corner. Should update just in a bit. Wait, I can remove that. Now you guys can see my Minecraft. I love doing these chill streams. The last stream we left off. We started recording all the possible useful furnace steel sources, because 1.21 adds auto crafter, so you can do stuff that you couldn't do before. Like instead of using just bamboo, we can now craft into planks. Instead of just using something else, we can now automatically craft pulp blocks. And we actually went through all 55 different types. And we kind of eliminated all the ones that weren't really useful. We're left with just these useful ones here. I guess there's 4. We also eliminated a couple other ones. And now, we got to the point where a really good question was asked, and that is it worth taking bone meal something like a kelp farm or a bamboo farm to make a fuel source? I think the answer is going to be kind of competitive with other farms. Let's go ahead and should be able to do the math fairly easy. So this is our kind of the out of the 4 choices, this is one of the best ones. I should turn off. Really run it with it not being loaded. So this is kind of like the standard. This is a farm that can run just by being loaded. Doesn't actually have to be within the player's random tick areas. Doesn't depend on anything actually growing. Here says resummon the dragon on the testing server. That works well. You guys can always play on the testing server while I'm doing these final recordings. The server is open to all the viewers. What do you say last 5 minutes about my chunk banding? Oh, I said I was surprised you actually got a chunk band just for having furnaces. Because I thought it had to be like within 1 chunk kind of thing. You can let me know how you actually got a chunk band. But yeah, so the moss farm here, besides producing bone meal, which it does pretty good at, it also has azaleas being produced, which can be used for fuel. And I've shown this before, how you can use this for have a fuel source. But mostly at that time, I was focusing on using the moss farm to produce bone meal. But now we're gonna try to look at what happens if you use the moss farm to try to produce steel. Kind of an interesting concept. So we're gonna have to look up how efficient different things are. I'm gonna put some oil on my chair again so I don't squeak during the stream. Alrighty. Hopefully they don't squeak as much. I thought like if I oil my chair once it wouldn't squeak like for a long time, but it must just all drain out or something. Yeah, it sounds much better. Okay, so let's first figure out which one of these is the best used of bone meal. Okay, we obviously know moss farm is probably gonna be the best use for bone meal, because for every bone meal you put into a moss farm, you actually get extra bone meal back. So it's not only self-sustaining, it's what do you want to call it? If it's like beyond self-sustaining. I don't know, like positive production or something. Big words. Cosmic Pity says, any New Year's resolutions for everybody? Let me know, guys, what your guys' New Year's resolution is. I think mine is probably get some of the different things that I'm working on, Minecraft related. Try to get them kind of wrapped up and streamlined. It always feels weird when I have like unfinished projects. Like, we'll open up two things. We'll open up the fuel one, which we're using. Oh, fingers on the right one. Fuel one. And then we'll also, open up composting, because that's where we're kind of looking at converting compost materials into fuel. I never think I've ever looked into this before, because it always seemed, I mean, I probably looked into it a little bit, it always seemed kind of inefficient, because essentially what you're doing is you're taking something that's decent, like all this compostable stuff, and you're shoving it into a composter, and you're turning down to very minimal amount of bone meal. Like this only produced 30% of bone meal of one piece, 30% of one piece, 50, 65, 85, 100. So you're getting very little bone meal out of it compared to what you're shoving in there. And then to use that bone meal to grow something, and the thing that grows has to be turned around and made into fuel. Because there's a variation of the type of bone meal it produces versus how much fuel it produces, might be kind of an interesting thing to look into. Cosmic Pig says their New Year's resolution is to sleep more than 5 hours per day, increase at least 8. Ooh, that sounds like a really good one. Yeah, I've always slept like 8 to 10 hours, and I've tried sleeping less, and I've never felt as good. And anybody ever tells me that they can sleep like 5 hours and feel good, I'm just like, do you really feel good? I just don't quite believe it. And they usually recommend like 8 hours. I know it's like, I usually like aim for 10, and I probably get like 8 just from maybe waking up or not going to bed right away kind of thing. But yeah, it sounds like a good New Year's resolution. I think a couple articles I read that said like the #1 thing you could do for your health, like of all the things you could do, like eat healthy food, drink water, exercise, like the #1 thing is get enough sleep, which is kind of crazy. Sleeping 12 hours has the same effect as 5 to 6 hours. For you, I guess it also depends on like how much physical work you do. Sometimes you go to bed and you're like super like mentally tired, but you're not like physically tired. Especially in modern day, we don't do like that much physical activities that much. I mean, unless you purposely go into like exercise or sports. Hey, Gross Jr. is in the chat. This guy here, I think, Wither Skeleton Farm is by far the most efficient field farm. Ooh, you're not gonna like our results then, Gross. We had to kick the Wither Skeleton Farm to the side. It wasn't as good as some of these other ones. But I mean, it also comes down to a lot of opinion. Okay, let's do some calculations. we'll throw up our calculator. So question is, if we have a bone meal farm like this moss farm in the background, what is the best thing that we should be using the moss on, or using the bone meal on? So out of everything that is here in this list, we only want to use it on things that we actually burned as fuel. I think we only said there's a couple of those.
Oh dang, lol, I am humbled.
Thank you so much, Gross Jr. Going in with 100 biddies. Yeah, I think Wither Skeleton is pretty high up there. I think maybe it might have been like the top 5. But then we started limiting it further down. I think we're down to like the top 4 or so. Yeah, thank you for the 100 biddies, getting us going on our cheer goal in the top left-hand corner. So out of all the things we can bone meal, there's only a few of them can actually be cooked down. So kelp is one of them. But we can also potentially grow trees with it and get charcoal. And we could use it to get bamboo. Grow some bamboo, turn it to planks. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else. Oh, I guess there's also azaleas. But we're already getting azaleas from the farm. My idea is like use this moss farm in combination with another farm to get even more fuel. Like completely convert the idea of using a moss farm to get bone meal, completely change, use a moss farm to get fuel. I have a weird idea, but it should be possible. We're already getting azaleas. Every time I grow these azalea bushes, we're already getting those azalea bushes and we're already separating them, and we're gonna burn them for fuel. But let's figure out how much we can do with the bone meal. So now that we've limited down to, what did we say, 3? I think we said 3 different things. We're not going to use other types of tree farms because because all these other tree farms all need players in order to plant saplings, and we're trying to avoid having players to plant, like click at all. I'm trying to also avoid players from having to sit in some location to spawn in mobs or to spawn in something. We're still using players to make random chunks. Can we go random ticked area for mob spawning? Not mob spawning, for plant growing. Okay, so those are options. So out of the 3, which one is going to produce the most? So I guess probably the way I would try to solve this problem is I would take like maybe 1 stack of bone meal. Take 1 stack of bone meal, and I would put it in each of these 3 locations. Then I see how much fuel we get out of each of them. So let's first try with the kelp. So we could probably do math for a lot of this. Over here to our kelp farm to kind of show you what's going to happen. We give ourselves a stack, and then we're going to try to apply this using a dispenser onto the kelp plant. And I think we should always get like one. We should always get one growth, I think, for kelp. Every time it grows just one time. and there's no like kind of randomness of how it's going to grow. So it's pretty straightforward to calculating kelp. So that means if we have a stack of bone meal, that means we're going to get a stack of kelp, right? We could even use a bigger number too, because I think we could calculate all this theoretically rather than actually have to do it. Hey, Bolt there, how you been? And the bots reminded me to drink some water. Haven't thought of new bamboo. Yeah, the new crafting for bamboo actually makes it like 50% more efficient, and with kelp auto crafting probably makes it, well, we couldn't use kelp before without at least manually crafting it into kelp blocks. The flowering azalea leaves have the same compostability as the flowers or leaves. Flowering azalea leaves? I think it's the same as other leaves. Flowering azaleas. Oh, it's actually more. Okay. Maybe because like there's little flowers on it, so you get extra compost power. It's kind of nice. But in order to get the leaves, you would have to use a player and like a silk touch hoe, which I do have a farm to get automatic AFK flowering azalea leaves. But yeah, it's not worth it because remember we're trying to minimize the player interaction in order to make a field farm. Like you kind of want a field farm that's handling itself and doesn't depend on you. Like it just constantly work in the background. That's the ideal type of field farm. Yeah, I don't think any of these other ones burn. Let me just double check. Yeah, you can't even use dried kelp or fuel. It has to be the blocks. Mangrove roots work too, but we looked into those and those aren't worth it. Kind of similar to leaves. It's kind of this, takes a player to click at the mangrove saplings. I guess they're called propagules, right? You can't use the carpets. Lost carpets don't burn like normal carpets. And we said the saplings weren't worth it. Yeah, okay, that's everything. Okay. Maybe we can use, let's use 1,000 bone meal. So if we have 1,000 bone meal, we turn into 1,000 kelp. Then the 1,000 kelp is turned into divided by 9. Does turn into that many kelp blocks. But in order to cook 1,000 kelp, it's gonna take some kelp in order to cook it. So we take the 1,000 kelp and you can take every 20 cooks, it's going to use up 1 kelp block. That means we're going to lose 50. So out of the 111, we minus 50. That means out of the 1,000 bone meal, we're going to get 61 kelp blocks. Still sounds pretty good. Let me write this down in my notes. Okay, 1,000 bone meal. And we get 61.111 kelp blocks. Okay, now I'll do the same thing for bamboo. Bamboo's a little bit different. You can't compost bamboo, right? But we don't need to compost it. We just need to bone meal it. Yeah, so I think we just need to go to this bamboo. Third time you bone meal, I think there's a little bit of randomness at how it grows. Bone meal. What? It has to be more than one bone meal, right? What's another word for bone meal? Maybe just how it grows? Grow. Okay. Oh, bone mill's 2 words here. Okay. When bone meal is used, grows 1 to 2 blocks. Oh, that's not good at all. 1 to 2 blocks. That's pretty inefficient. Okay, let's test this in game. Is it just always choosing between 1 or 2, or is there like more towards 1 or 2? Game rule random tick go 0. Let's stop the game for a second so we can just test it. Maybe I could fill this whole thing up with the bamboo across this whole thing, and then we can bone mill it. See how much it grows. We will do Control or F3I. Actually, no. Go from here. Hey, Earn. How goes it? Oh! I set my controller down on my... I set the controller down on my thigh, and then I just happened to push a button. Okay. Use the fill command to go from there to there. Put in some bamboo. Alrighty. And then if we bone mill each of these. Probably a better way of doing this. Probably if I place down a whole bunch of if I use the fill command to place into 100 dispensers, and then power them all at once, one time. Ooh, I think I might did I do more than one? I hold down my my controller button. Oh, again, controller. It's not showing up for you guys. But yeah, if I hold down my controller button, it will spam click. But yeah, then I think I'll do is we'll use the fill command to replace all these blocks, and we'll see the average. I don't know how many did I fill in? Should check that too. We can count that as well. Okay. I think it's exactly... Yeah, it should be exactly 4 chunks. It should be 64. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, if I fill in the same area as before, it should tell me how many it replaces. So don't fill in this. Change these numbers to be something a little bit taller. It says it replaced 156. Now I have to take 156. 156 minus the initial 64. That means we were ended up with 82. If we divide that by the 64, that means we got a little bit less than 1.5. So on average, probably not the best test because we only tested 64, but looks like 1.4. Christmas music. Christmas officially ends on the 11th of the month, I think. So we're gonna keep playing it because it seems like Christmas is such a short time of the year. Kazakh says, "When I doubt, double the farm." When I doubt, double the farm. Okay, bots. I might have to take a drink. Do we go with this number, or do you think it's really close to? $1.5, because it says it can either grow 1 or 2. Actually, what is the difference between 1 and 2? Yeah, it's 1.5, right? Between 1 and 2, halfway is 1.5. So if it was 50-50 between growing 1 bamboo and growing 2 bamboos, it should be exactly 1.5. We did test 64 of them, which does seem like quite a bit. Actually, it probably won't matter. In the end, it probably won't matter because I don't think bamboo is going to be as good. Anyways, let's go ahead and let's figure. So if we take 1,000 bone meal and we put it on bamboo plants, every bamboo grows 1.4. Let me check this out. Thanks for following Semi. Okay, that means on average we're going to get that many bamboo plants. And what we need to do is we need to convert that down into the most efficient source. We found out bamboo is not efficient, but turning it into planks is. So take that many bamboo, we divide it by 9, we'll make some blocks. And we take those blocks and we turn back into planks, and we'll times it 2. That means we have that many planks. Let me write this down. We could actually convert these back into, at the end we need to convert this all into fuel. Blam planks. We might as well convert it to fuel while we're thinking of it. We pull up our chart for fuels. You know that planks are pretty efficient. I think they're 1.5. There they are. You can smelt 1.5 items. Take this times 1.5 means it equals 47,966. That's how many smelts it can do with 1,000 bone meal. I guess we could do the other one too. The previous one was kelp. If we take that times, I think kelp can do 20 smelts per. Yeah, 20 smelts per kelp block. Okay, yeah, that's way more. Kind of expected that. So kelp can do 1,222.2 melts per hour. No, it's not per hour. It's just melts per 1,000 bone meal. Okay, so far, when it comes to using your bone meal, if you are gonna use your bone meal between using a bamboo and a kelp farm is better use for it. So now let's compare it to the other option. The other option is you could take that bone meal and turn around and use it in a moss farm, but because a moss farm already produces a surplus, well, that's what we're thinking of, surplus. Surplus produces a surplus of bone meal. that means there's no reason to put it back into moss farm because we're always going to end up with excess. So the last option that we can use bone meal for efficiently is in a tree farm. And I don't want to use it in one of the manual planting tree farms because we don't want the player to be sitting there planting saplings. So that means we're going to have to use it here. Here in the player list is a tree farm. So I mean, we could also use it in another tree farm. The only thing is with another tree farm, you can't actually use the nether wood for fuel because it's not fuel. It's not burnable. So you'd have to convert to ladders, which does make it less efficient. But I guess we could test it. The question is, how much wood are you gonna get out of this thing? How much wood you can get out of this thing for all the bone meal you put into it? I don't think it's gonna be too much, but go ahead and calculate it. I don't actually remember how much this farm uses, but I'll just pull up the my video about it, and in the video I'll probably tell how much bone meal it uses. Bone. Okay, I think it's called wood or tree farm or something like that. Infinite wood tree farm. Azalea. Until I try to add some stuff to the title. Azalea. Okay. So in the description it says 20-minute build AFK for 1,100 logs per hour. Plus you get a bunch of other stuff too. Because you get a bunch of side effects. Or the side effects? No. Should I look at the exact amounts? Let's just do some rough math, and if it is close, if it's comparable to kelp. Oh, but I don't know how much bone meal it uses. That's true. I think it uses quite a bit of bone meal. I think we're gonna have to watch the video. Let's pull up the video. See if I can pull it up. Here's a bit slow. But in the video it should say, because it might produce so much logs, but we're trying to figure out how many trees we can get just for 1,000. Just for 1,000. Bone meal. Okay, so let's zoom What? Do I really not? Oh, this is a tutorial. I was like, man, I don't have that many chapters in this thing. So somewhere in here, I talk about. One thing you can also do is you can pull up. What's it called? The transcript. Let me pull up the transcript. No transcript. Okay. So here's the transcript of the video, and if you search, I search the word thousand. No results. Okay. Per hour. Wow, that's a big transcript. Unlike can I actually open this up? Oh, it's just gonna take me to the part in the video where I talk about it. What about 5 of them? Unlike my other farm where I run about 5 of them, which makes farm efficient. One double chest. Oh, okay. It's gonna be as simple as this one. It does use about 1 double chest of bone meal per hour. Okay. That's what I was looking for. So we can, with that information, it's not precise, but that's okay. It's all I really need. We'll be able to figure out if we need to do more math or not based off of that. Okay, so we know it produces 1,100 logs per hour. And we know it uses a double chest of around a double chest of bone meal. So what we need to figure out is how many bone meal that is per log. So I think if we take a double chest, which is 3, 4, 5, 6, we divide it by the 1,000. That means it takes about 3. Wow, is that pi? 3.14. What is pi? Pi. 1415. Okay, this is 18. Oh, actually, it repeats very 18. Okay, kind of funny. Okay. And this number does sound familiar, because I remember it was, well, I mean, oh, that's per log. Okay, maybe I don't remember this number. This is per log. It's going to cost us 3 bone meal per log. I think this is pretty inefficient use of bone meal for fuel. Okay, so if we have 1,000 bone meal, like we said, and we divide it by the 3.14, that means we only get 218 logs. Cutie says, even a reverse chunk dupe when I built my mega smelter in pre-115 world. Huh. Girl says, I think I see what you're looking for. The fastest way to make most fuel. And I was thinking efficiency, like less steps, like bone meal, stop growing without bone meal. I'm not looking for the most efficient method. I'm looking for the method that people most likely use in their world. And because of that, I'm not only taking in stuff like which source produced the most cooks, most like smelts per item. I'm also looking to how easy it is to farm it, if you need the player to be constantly planting something. Does the player constantly need to be running a mob farm? Remember, mob farms don't work as well on multiplayer servers, so people might want to avoid that. And then in the end, it's not going to be like a single winner. It's going to be more like these are the top ones depending on your situation. So, you know, something like your Wither Skeleton Pole Farm might be the best for you, but not for everybody. Hey, Starlight's here. Does that like pie? Oh man, mentioning pie, that makes me hungry. Seems like, you know, when you're during that Christmas season, you're eating all that good food, and then like the good food kind of makes you feel sick at the same time. You're like, it's too rich of food. But then when Christmas ends, you're like, oh, I wish I had some of that good food again. But I try to stick to my diet, which I really enjoy. Once I stick with my food, I always feel really good, and I always feel really sickish when I eat other food. Okay, so let's go ahead. So I think what do we calculate again? We took bone meal, we divided by that. This means how many logs we're gonna get per hour. Okay, so now we need to convert these logs. If we convert these into planks, it'll be less efficient. Let's just convert them into, let's convert them to charcoal, and then we'll see how well it gets. So for charcoal, I think for charcoal we said that we can convert. Let me just pull up the chart. I'm trying to do this stuff in my head. Okay, so for charcoal, we take the log, we have to cook it. So we have to also take into account the price it takes to cook it. But then what we're left with is, we're left with one charcoal. So I think there might be a shortcut to doing this math. If we just say that every charcoal, instead of every charcoal giving 8 smelts, we just say every charcoal gives 7 smelts, then that extra 8th smelt we can use to actually cook the original log. I think that works out. I think that should work out. Let me know if that's wrong. There might be a shortcut to doing it. I always like shortcuts in math, but I always hated the way the school teaches stuff. Seems like there's could be such better ways of teaching kids how to do stuff like math. Okay, so if we just times this, instead of timesing it 8, if we just times it 7, hopefully we can get a number. Ooh, that's actually a pretty high number. Okay, so now that's how many smelts per hour. Let's compare that with the other one. Oh wow, that is actually, I think that's higher. That's like double what kelp is. Wait. Are you saying the tree farm is more efficient than the kelp farm? I mean, it kind of makes sense. Maybe we have to figure out the exact amount. We said 1,000 bone meal. Yeah. If I did it correctly, it's 2,229 melts per 1,000 bone meal. Hey, how you doing there, Nada? Oh, I forgot to write a message today. If you have time, Nada, let me know. We're working on the same thing as yesterday, pretty much, but we're trying to figure out converting bone meal into fuel efficiency. That's kind of what we're working on. We also got Alki in the chat. How you been? For some reason, my nose is a little stuffy. Hopefully not getting sick. I was actually surprised I did not get sick for Christmas, New Year's. It seemed like other people in my family were sick. Well, this means we now have a best contender, and it looks like it's the tree farm. No! Which means I need to do... more calculations when it comes to the tree farm. The thing is, the way I designed my tree farm, I didn't design it to be efficient for bone meal use. I actually designed it to be simple. So I guess we can turn it back on again. I mean, it's kind of nice that it is a tree farm because I already have it already built up. But let me just double check the math. But yeah, because every time what we're doing is we're bone milling this one. Yeah, we're bone milling this one, and then it's placing an azalea up here. Wait, oh, that's because, yeah, because when azalea grows, it converts it into, what do you call that? Rooted dirt? Because it converts it to rooted dirt, we have to then put it back to moss again before we can get some more moss growth on top of it. Alrighty. Okay. Yeah, it does work, even though it's not super efficient. It does work. If you want to make it more efficient, what you do is, when this one bone mills, you'd make it very similar to like this over here. Watch, whenever it bone mills, you can see it places stuff all over. What you'd want is you want to try to capitalize on bone milling as many of those azaleas as possible. And that way, like, you'd probably put in like maybe 2 rows of dispensers. So you can do this whole, try to do a big long area. The only problem is that means you're gonna have trees growing in like 2 big rows. And if they're growing 2 big rows, destroying them. Oh, this does use a TNT duper, so yeah, I guess. Yeah, people might not use it for that reason. Oh, that's a good point. I compliment myself on my good points. Yeah, so use the TNT duper. So we might want to do both the calculations for this and the next best one, which is a kelp. I was also thinking maybe comparing this with the nether tree farm, which I believe is more efficient for producing logs, but you can't actually melt the logs. You have to convert them into ladders. Well, this just got more confusing. Oh, Nada, please let me know if you have time to write a message. Otherwise, I can write it out, letting people know what we're doing today. Okay, I guess we might as well try to calculate what the nether farm is. Nether farm is self-sustainable. What's the downside to it? Can't quite remember what the downside is. I know it does uses some ancient debris. Use some ancient debris. Well, I guess we can just look it up. Okay. Infinite. Azalea. Free farm. Not to look up the other one, which is. Other one is. I think it's called Wood Farm or something. Is it a wood factory? Is that about Iron Farm? Yeah, we did talk about that. I'm going to show that in the video. The reason why I didn't want to use my lava bucket farm is because it takes the player to AFK to scoop the lava. You can't use dispensers to do it. Right here. Actually pretty simple. There's like very little redstone to it. You can hook up the iron farm. I did actually mention that in the recording. That's already recorded, so we're gonna get down to like the very end of the actual video recording. It's good. Oh, magic chemist. So hard to say as one word. Magic chemist. Magic chemist. Magic chemist. Thanks so much for coming out with the raid. How was your stream? What were you up to? I think Nada might be AFK. Let me give you a shout out. Let me also write a message. Ray is recording a video about the best new fuel sources using 1.21 auto crafters. He's being converting to fuel moment. Simple farm. Okay. Pin that. It has been an hour. I guess if I forget to pin what we're working on, you guys can always remind me. Well, Woodward surpassed 70 hours. That's impressive. Welcome in, Lol. Of course, I got Magic Chemist himself. I got some good progress on my mega base. Finally have some cool photos of it. Nice. If you have a Twitter, you guys can always ping me on Twitter so we can see them. Okay. So we're just figuring out what is the best use for bone meal. If you want to convert bone meal into fuel, what should you use? You use kelp farm, bamboo, moss farm, AFK Azalea tree farm. I guess it's actually a playerless tree, Azalea tree farm. And we got to the point where we found out of the three, tree farm is the best at producing fuel, which kind of surprised me. But I guess because it's just because even though they do waste bone meal to actually get the sapling, must be the logs itself just so much more efficient than the kelp box. Wow, I actually destroyed that moss bomb. It's kind of impressive. That moss ticket. Okay. I remember it was quite a fun challenge making this farm. I had to like try to also make it somewhat simple to build up. It doesn't have all the features. I noticed that sometimes it does leave a log behind, and it should probably push it out. And it probably has to do with the clock, where it is clock. But yeah, let's compare this to my nether tree farm. I can't remember what the rates of vote that thing is. I'll pull it up. I have to find it in the video where I talk about the rates of it. I would think it'd be less efficient because we have to convert everything into signs, not signs, ladders. We had to convert everything into ladders before we could use it for field. Probably go for kelp block field going forward. Yeah, I think I'm going to mention the kelp too, just because when it comes to kelp, it doesn't need a TNT duper. These other options need a TNT duper. That's what I was kind of saying, that there's probably not one best design. Alrighty. This is the video about tree farm. Here's the transcript. Can I search it? How do I do a little search thing? Let me just see if I can find it. Oh, I can also check the description, see if it's in there. Okay, since it produces 1,200 stems per hour. How much bone meal does it use? That's the real question. Bone meal. Probably say bone meal quite a bit. Okay. Produces extra bone meal around 85, 95 bone meal per hour, so not a lot of bone meal. Oh, that's how it's extra produces. Oh yeah, because it's self-sustained, so but, yeah, it's self-sustained, so I guess there's no reason to use this farm. Hmm. Okay, this is kind of... I guess you wouldn't have to convert to ladders, you could just convert to planks. Fix up the planks. Because we figured planks is more efficient. Oh, no, we can't use the planks from this. We have to convert to ladders, yeah. Okay. So it's self-sustained, so if you really wanted a fuel farm, you could just use this. It is playerless. I assume most cattle players will probably be going like a block fuel forward. Yeah, I think it's like nice that it can grow by itself. Would the logs be 7.5 or instead of 7 since you smelt planks would make logs even better? We looked at the different options. It depends which farm we're talking about. When it comes to nether farms, you can't, any of the nether stuff cannot burn in a furnace. You have to convert it to something that can burn. The best thing is ladders. Duper has a major split of opinions. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna mention both this one and this other tree farm. Okay. I guess we got a bit more recording to do. I have to try to figure out how this is going to fall into the video. Try to make the video kind of like consistently smooth, like the transitions between stuff. Turn off this box. Okay, I think, where did we end off? I can't remember how we ended. I guess I could just check my last recording. I think we got down to like the final four. Yes, we did bring up bamboo farms. So now that we're down to the final four, these are the final four things that I think are worthy. Now I think I want to talk about how to get each of these in more detail. Okay, let's see. Got my recording working. Audio looks good. My game noise. Yeah, game noise is there. I think what I'll say is like, okay, these are the final four, and then say, now we need to figure out which farms is best to get these items, kind of thing. Which one should I start with? Because I wanted to kind of transition between all four of them pretty smoothly. So I think think we could start at this end where we talk about dupers and get the duper out of the way, and then we can transition to the other duper, which are the tree farms that use dupers. But then to transition further, we would talk about bone meal farms. And then talk about the bone meal farms, we kind of have to talk about the kelp farm, the bamboo farm. So maybe we should start with the kelp and bamboo farm. But it's kind of... We do talk about TNT dupers. And we're talking about the tree farm, talking about the bone meal farms. I guess we can talk about this one. But then I guess we can transition. Yeah, we should be able to transition and be like, okay, if you don't want to use a bone meal farm to make it an azalea tree farm, then your next option is this farm. Or this farm. I think that will work pretty good. Hey, Elric. Yeah, we're it's actually technically still Christmas until like the 11th of January, I think, so take advantage of every day. Listen to as much Christmas music. Okay, so I think we're gonna start the duper. How you been there, Ulrich? You got your lovely Christmas themed badge. Okay. Pop, pop, pop. So now that we are down to the final four, let's see what is... So now that we are down to the final four, let's see what is the goods and the bads of each of these and how we can actually farm them up. First off, let's take a look at the carpet duper. What exactly did I say there? Did I say the best ways to farm them up? Hold on, let me pull this up. Hopefully this won't be too loud. Farm them up. First off, let's take a look at the carpet duper. And the bads of each of these and how we can actually farm them up. First off, let's take a look at the carpet duper. Okay, it's kind of a general statement. How we can farm them up. So it wasn't like best way to farm them up or simplest way to farm them up. Okay, so let's go record the next part, which is about the carpet duper. That one should be pretty straightforward. You're doing good, says Ulrich. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. For some reason my sleep schedule has been kind of messed up. And I tried going to bed early yesterday, but then I just kind of tossed and turned. I probably went to sleep like normal time. So I took a nap today and I feel much better, but might mess up my sleep schedule tonight. Okay, let's record this. Now, since carpet dupers are just so simple to build up, if duping is allowed on your world or your server, then it is probably definitely the best way to get tons and tons of fuel. It doesn't really need anything special. It doesn't even need to be a player nearby. It just has to be running in loaded chunks. So something like spawn chunks, which are often loaded, would have this thing constantly producing fuel, which you could put directly into your furnace array. Now the negatives of this farm is of course it's using a duplication glitch that probably will get fixed eventually. And there's a lot of servers that automatically run a slightly modded version of vanilla, which will already fix this. So you won't be able to use them on those. So you won't be able to use it on all servers. Also, if you're playing a single player world, some people just choose not to use any type of duplication glitch, even ones that are specific to certain types of items like carpet duping. That might be everything I need to mention related to that. The next is the next type of thing that uses duping. Let's take a look at the TNT duping next. Up. Now speaking of duping, let's take a look at another one which could use duping, and that is actually getting wood. It's gonna be a little bit confusing because I already got rid of charcoal and what's the other one? Charcoal. I think I made just charcoal. Okay. How should I record this? I'm trying to think what I want to say. Bit confusing. I wanna mention this farm somehow. Oh, I don't know. I'll just wing it, see how it goes. There's like 8 different things I want to mention. I don't know how don't know what order I should mention them to make it sound good. Probably should write it down, but I usually just kind of wing it when it comes to these very talkative videos. Now, one way we can get logs, one way we can get planks is using a tree farm. We already talked about we don't want to use a tree farm that needs a player planting them. But that still means that we could use the azalea tree farm. This one of mine is playerless, so it doesn't use any player. Instead, it will use bone milling a moss block to place an azalea next to it, in which case it'll bone mill that azalea, growing it into a tree. And then we're going to use TNT dupers to break down the tree for its items. Once again, we're using dupers of a sort, which is TNT dupers. Although this is a different type of duping than the carpets. So once again, if you're playing on a server that doesn't allow duping, or if you're playing on a... Once again, if you're using a world that... So once again, if you're using a world where you don't want to allow duping, this isn't really an option because there's not an easy way to take down the trees without supplying it with actual TNT as an item, which is quite expensive for just having a fuel farm. And of course, if servers don't allow it, then you can't use this. Now the advantages to this farm is that it's actually quite efficient at using its bone. Now the advantage to this farm, one of the advantages to this farm is that it is quite efficient at actually turning bone meal into fuel. Because we do need this massive bone meal farm in order to run it, you could use this bone meal farm to bone meal other things that could also be used as fuel, such as like bamboo or kelp. But if you don't, but out of the three, the best way to use it is actually in the azalea tree farm here, as these logs could be converted down into charcoal, which is even more efficient than the original logs or planks. Pull up my stats. And how much more efficient is it in using your bone meal, converting it into a fuel source? Well, by putting it in the tree farm, it is twice as good as using it. Well, by putting it into the tree farm instead of a kelp farm, it is twice as efficient. And it is 5 times as efficient. And it's 5 times as efficient than using it inside of a bamboo farm. And it's 5 times as efficient. Wait, is it 5? Let's see. Yeah. And it's 5 times as efficient as using the bone meal on bamboo. Another downside to this farm is it does have quite a bit of redstone, although I simplified it as much as possible, both in the self-sustaining tree farm and also in this very simple layout for a moss farm. It does take all these modules, a total of 20 different modules, just to keep the farm to have enough bone meal. Just to make sure the farm has enough bone meal. Okay, quite a bit to cover, and we could take a couple different directions from here. So I guess we should probably take a look at the other tree farm before coming back to this. Maybe I can mention the azaleas. Maybe yeah, this might be a good time to mention the azaleas. I think I might as well mention the moss farm. I wonder. Good question. Instead of bone milling down all the extra stuff from the moss farm, to use it in the tree farm, would it be better to pull the azaleas and use them for fuel before converting them? Good question. So I guess we can do the same test as we did before. Now we're going to compare azalea saplings, azalea bushes to a nice angle. Let's see, what's producing more fuel? If we gave ourselves 1,000 fuel, pull our calculator again. Is it possible to get 76 notch apples in 3 hours? Sounds like some kind of weird challenge. Glare and axolotl. That's an interesting name. I'm guessing you were a Glare fan during the Minecraft mob boat. Okay, so we have 1,000 bone meal. Actually, is this the best way to convert? Question is, maybe if we have 1,000 azaleas, if we have 1,000 azaleas saplings, is it better to use them for fuel right away, or to convert them bone meal and use them in the azalea tree farm? So 1,000 azaleas is only going to give us half as many fuel. Azalea coal. Okay, let me write this down. We're only going to get 500 smelts with azalea bushes. But if we take that 1,000 azaleas and we compost them, where are azaleas? Oh, flowering azaleas are here? Oh, the other ones are somewhere else. Oh. Okay, we're gonna have to do a little bit of math. Okay, so chance of getting this and this. So there is about double. Might be exact. No, it's not double. How do we figure out what percentage is which? I guess we add these two together, right? 7.98 plus 4.1. Never knew there'd be so much math in playing some Minecraft game. Playing some block game. Okay, we add these two together. Then we have to figure out what percentage is the other numbers. And then if we divide by How do we figure out what percentage it is? We just divide 7.29. Maybe I start with 7.29. 7.29 divided by 11.46. Okay, that might be correct. Is it? Is 63% of it? 63% of it is normal azaleas? Sure. Let me do the other one. 4.17 divided by, what's the total again? 11.46. We have 30 and 60. Yeah, they should add up. Yeah, they should add up to 100%. Okay. So then if we take that number, then we times it 1,000. That means out of all the azaleas, that many of them are going to be the flowering ones. The flowering ones produce more. Where's our compost? Flowering ones produce more compost, right? Quite a bit more than the other ones. We take our azaleas and then we take them times the 0.85. That means we're going to get that much bone meal. So let's write that down. Maybe I can remember that. And if we do the same thing with the other number, we take that number and we times it 1,000. Okay, that looks good. That's how many are going to be the normal azaleas, and then we take that times the amount they compost for, is 65%. That means we have that many bone meal, right? Did I do that right? Figured out how many azaleas are normal, and then we did it times that, and then that's how many bone meal. Okay. Now we add that with the previous number, which is, where's that previous number? This one here. Add it with the 309.29. That means we're going to end up with that much bone meal. What exactly are we doing again? We're figuring out how much bone meal, I guess, comes out of it, right? So that's how much bone meal we get out of 1,000 azaleas. And then what? Did they produce the same amount of smelts? Yeah, both azalea bushes produce the same amount of smelts. Okay. Going with the compost. So we got that many, we have this many bone meal. Now we need to convert that bone meal into logs. And we said it takes 3 and 3.14 bone meal in order to make a log. They're just some rough numbers. Wait, what am I doing? Oh, no, I don't want that. No. Is this a number? Whatever. This is the number of okay, 722. And then we say we take 722 divided by I don't like how they do this. Let me just write this out. 722.77 divided by 3.14. Okay, that means we get that many logs. Now each log does 7 smelts. Then we get that many smelts. Oh. Oh, that's quite a bit more. That's 1,600 smelts. Azalea bush converted into whole circle is 1,600. If I did my math correctly. Smelt. Okay, I think we both start with. So it's actually way more efficient to turn into. Whew, there's a lot of mind-boggling here. Oh, now I started his stream streak again. Free stream streak. If you would like to see Proto Sky remake. Yeah, we did come up with some new concept ideas. Or a new way of doing it. I wouldn't want to do the same thing over again. Unless there were some really big changes to the game. But I think we have a way to it wouldn't be 100% vanilla, but we slightly tweak it. And I think we can make it pretty cool, pretty fascinating. Okay. Okay, so it's more efficient to not fuel with the azaleas, but rather take the azaleas, compost them down, then use them on tree farm. Okay. Let's record this part because I think it's going to fit in pretty well in this part of the video. But what if you didn't actually build the tree farm and instead just use this moss farm here, as the moss farm itself will actually grow azalea bushes on top of it, and these azalea bushes can be used directly as fuel rather than actually composting them down and then using them on the tree. And that's exactly what I did down at this end after we collect all the different things that come from the moss farm. I put in some sorters here which are sorting away. I put some sorters in here which are sorting away the 2 different types of azaleas. The normal ones as well as the flowering ones. And then you can use these directly to fuel stuff. Let's go back to Otherworld, and then we'll come back again. Auto. Pop. And azaleas is one of our top 4 just because it's so easy to farm up using a moss farm. But the downside is that it only will smelt half an item per. But the downside is it only smelt half an item per bush. And what's really crazy, if you would turn around and take these azaleas, instead of using them for fuel, and what's really crazy is that if you would take these azaleas and instead use them as fuel, and what's a bit mind-boggling is that if you actually take these azaleas and instead of using them just for fuel, you come along and actually compost them down to bone meal and then use that bone meal in a tree farm. Did I happen to load this wrong? Wait, where did the minecart go? What's going on here? Probable. You can get 3 times as much fuel by doing it. You can get 3 times as much fuel by making trees rather than just bone milling. You can get 3 times as much fuel by using them on trees rather than actually using the fuel directly as azaleas. But the difference is here you'd have to use a TNT duper, where over here you can actually get the fuel without using anything but loaded chunks. Okay, we're slowly whittling down to the final couple useful ones. We might as well talk about the other tree farm. Charlotte says I was on a 10 stream streak, but then you started a stream at the exact time I had to be busy. It was free after your stream. It was already over. Wow. I guess you could always lurk in the stream. You always can leave it up. How did that get there? Oh, maybe I should. Yeah. Is it not getting a line? Put another chest in there and I'll line it. Okay, let's talk about the other wood farm. Which is not in this world. And this older world. Another update, 1.16. Here's all the different farms from 1.16. Quite a few of them. Not that one. Not one up here. Actually, it looks relatively simple. We'll have a resource pack that changes the color of ancient debris. That's funny. I know you're streaming. Oh, okay. I do have a streaming schedule. I try to keep to it. Sometimes it's a little bit off. Yeah, this was like the first self-sustaining playerless tree farm. Now we have azaleas. Now we also have bamboo. I might as well try running this. Where's the on-off switch? Here somewhere. I guess it's self-sustaining, so it might be something like this to turn it on. Oh, that doesn't seem to be it. Oh, maybe I have to push this button. Dude, it's been so many years since I made this. Wait till we get a big tree. Yeah, I did say I was going to stream later, so you could have lurked there, Nada, if you really wanted to. Well, I don't look like we're going to get a tall tree. Now, speaking of tree farms, we do have another one which we can use, which is my self-sustaining nether wood farm. This thing uses the two different types of nether trees. And once grown up, it then will push it aside and make room for TNT to fall in, and it will destroy all of the logs. And it'll even destroy the Nilium. It'll even destroy the different types of wart blocks, but this does use a TNT duper, which does make it not useful for people that, play without TNT dupers or play on servers without them. But it is also quite efficient when it comes to the bone milling, as it will grow in multiple potential trees. All just with a single bone mill. So it's actually quite efficient in that part. But it's a little bit hard to compare with the other things we're talking about, because this thing is actually self-sustaining. But unlike the previous tree farm, which needs some help with bone meal, this farm is self-sustaining, meaning it produces all the bone meal it needs from breaking down the different nether wart blocks into using composters, and then using the extra bone meal to refuel the farm where the bone meal, where all the wood is set aside. Now, the downside to using this type of farm, besides the dupers, is that the wood type is nether wood. Okay, grab a drink. Really keep it on while sleeping? Well, I mean, you could have did it for one day. You knew you were gonna miss out on the stream. Let's grab some of this wood. grab some normal wood too. Bubble. That's because you can't actually use these nether wood to fuel a furnace. This has to do with the nether. This has to do with these trees growing in the nether. They don't want them to burn. Where normal logs can be used as fuel. But besides this, we cannot. But we could also not use the nether wood to turn it into charcoal. It just doesn't get cooked down as well. It just doesn't get cooked down as well. But there is still a way to actually convert this into something that can be used for fuel. You would first have to turn it into planks, then the planks down into sticks, and then you can use the sticks to make ladders, and ladders are actually considered a fuel source, although it is quite inefficient compared to using coal or even using planks. Although it's less efficient than using charcoal or using planks. Okay, I don't know if I go into much detail about this. I don't know how many people would build this farm compared to the other one. So using the new auto crafters, we can now automatically craft these supplies down into ladders and use it as a fuel source. Anything else I should say about this one? I don't know. I don't know how this, like, would people actually build this before building, like, the Zaylee tree farm? Possible. It does seem simpler. Both of them do use TNT dupers. Another downside is that it does use ancient debris to prevent the redstone from getting blown up. Okay, I mentioned that. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Let's go back. We're getting down to what, like the final couple ones? Getting down to what I talked about. Carpet, talked about this. I think we're down to these two. Okay. So let's guess maybe I could have kept in ladders and also circle. So we looked at methods that are playerless as well as so we looked at the methods that use no so we looked at the methods that don't need any players. But have other negatives such as being a duplicate but have other negatives like being a duplication or just having a or just being poor at smelting stuff. But this is where the final two really shine. Okay, let's go back to this world. We won't talk about that one, but we're going to talk about this one down here. Should I show the crafting thing for bamboo again? Yes, I can. And that's because, as mentioned before, there is another way to get planks besides using trees, and that is by converting down bamboo which happens to be really easy to farm up. Maybe I'll just keep it there. We'll let it do its harvesting part. See how well it can pick up stuff. Okay, cord this next part. And when the flying machine docks, it will activate all the hopper minecarts, which will sweep underneath, picking up all the items off of the bamboo. It will then automatically sit on top of the hoppers here and dispose and send all their bamboo down into these hoppers down here, which send them into these crafters. Crafters will put them together, producing the bamboo blocks. Those blocks will then be sent from 3 different crafters all into this one here. And this one has a pretty simple job at just converting down the blocks into the planks. Because as we figured out, the planks are the best way to fuel furnaces rather than using the raw bamboo itself. And a farm of this size. And a farm of this size will produce. And a farm of this size will produce a certain amount of smelt, which is. And my bigger version of the farm will produce 7,500 smelts per hour per farm. Might as well say the calculations for this one too. Okay, I guess while there's an ad running, go ahead and use this to grab some water. I'll grab some water. Meanwhile, see what I'm up to on all my social links there in the chat. Join them all, and I will be right back. Yeah, because I say per module. Okay. I guess I didn't figure out how much the other tree farm use. Record this. So if you're just using the moss farm as a way to get fuel, it will produce 3,300 smelts per hour per these 20 modules. Plus you also get some extra, plus you'll get the extra bone meal of 4,500 per hour. Okay. I don't know if I should mention the... Oh, the TD dupers over, or the minecarts over here. Is this up? Is this in one chunk? It is in one chunk. How in the world did the minecart fly off? Not sure about that. Try to build everything in one chunk so it's either loaded or not loaded. But it might have been redstone loaded, but then not entity loaded. So then it might have moved, the entity stayed there. Possible. So what were the rates of that? Oh, old grape juice. Thanks for coming in the raid again. How are you doing? Welcome in, raiders. Oh, of course, I got Mr. Dangly here. What were you working on today? Your stream. Nada, why did you... I think you hit the wrong button, Nada. I was like, why is it in shield mode? Okay, so did I mention...
That was an oopsie.
Yeah, I figured because I've seen other people do it too once they introduce that shield thing. I think we could figure out how much this produces. I don't know if I wrote it down. Help. Links. Smelts. Well, we can figure out again. I think we said there's like 1,100 logs per hour from that farm. There, 1,100 logs per hour. So if every log can get you 7 smelts, really, that's 7,000. Oh, okay, that is quite efficient. But you need this whole other big farm too. Okay. Azalea wood farm with moss farm is 7,700 smelts per hour. Double check. Could actually produce more, could also produce some other stuff. Okay, let me just record this a bit here. I guess we put down a sign, make it look official. Um, 7,700 melt per hour per farm. Okay, we'll make it look nice with some coloring. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. And if you use the entire moss farm to supply this tree farm and use those logs to make charcoal, it'll give you 7,700 smelts per hour per this entire farm. Okay, that's good. We mentioned the other one, which is the nether. I guess it's self-sustaining, but it also produces wood. Why choose a word with starts with SH? Shout out and shield. Yeah. Did it autocomplete? Or is shield like the default thing that pops up? Is shield is SHE and shout out is SHO? Okay, yeah, alphabetical wise would come first. I guess we could try to figure out what the other farm produced. Oh, it's 1,200 stems per hour. Okay, we can figure that out. 1,200 stems per hour. And we take those stems and we make them into sticks. So every one block turns into 2 sticks. Then we divide those by 7 to get ladders, but we times it 3 because we get 3 ladders. Then every ladder. What does our ladder produce again? For not that good. Ladder is 1.5. Oh, that's not too bad. Times 1.5. Wait, how can it be so much different? Oh, I did that wrong. Okay, so it's 1,200 logs per hour. Then we turn each log into 4 planks. That's where I messed up. 4 planks. And then each of those turn into 2 sticks. And then the sticks divided by 7, but we get 3 ladders. Or no. Yeah. We take the sticks, we divide them by 7, right? We get sticks, then we divide them by 7, figure out how many ladders. And the ladders will make 3 times as many. Then for every ladder we get 1.5 fuel, so we get 6,000. Almost 200. I got you. That's unfortunate, Nada. Okay, so let's go to the other world and write down this information. About 6,200. Grab this again. I guess we can put that down 6,000. What did I say? 6,000. 200. Per hour per farm. And do the same. Nice lookingness. Pop. Because we convert them down to ladders, we get a total of 6,200 smelts per hour per farm. Okay, but we're getting down there. There's only a few more things to mention. I think mostly just the kelp. Okay, that's turned off. We'll leave that one on. Okay, turn off my fan. We should be able to record this next part. Next part I want to kind of mention bone milling first letting them naturally grow. Pop. But the downside to this farm is that it does have to be within the random ticked area around. But the downside to this farm is it has to be within the random ticked area around a player. This is within 128 blocks. That is a circle around the player. That is a cylinder shape around the player. And anything within this area can actually grow like bamboo. Although the player doesn't have to be standing in a very specific spot spawning in mobs, they do have to be standing relatively in the same area, or you can always place this in an area where other players regularly visit, like such as like a shopping district or spawn chunks. But it won't actually grow in spawn chunks without players being there. Okay, so now I want to compare it to dispensers. Have a good one there, Nada. Thanks for helping out in the chat. Appreciate that. Dangle says, I had a song stuck in my head for a whole day. Finally got it out. Back in my head again. You're talking about the Christmas song? Like the Jingle Bell song? The music that I'm playing is copyright-free Christmas music. I didn't go through and find like the best. I just found like I think it's just like the first one I could find. Should probably find some better one. We wish you Merry Christmas. I think like a week before it was actually Christmas, I went caroling. And I think at the end of each carol, we ended by saying, "We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's." I think that's how we ended after I went to each door. So yeah, I got that one kind of stuck in my head too. Okay, so now we need to... I want to mention the whole thing with if you want to run... Oh, you should turn on game rule random tick speed 3. We can watch this thing grow again. Now you could get away from using... Now you could get away from having to have the player nearby at all if you had a dispenser which were automatically bone milling the bamboo. The only problem is, for every bamboo you use on the bamboo, the only problem is for every time you use one bone mill, you only get between 1 and 2 actual growths. Which as mentioned before is really inefficient compared to using the bone mill to actually grow something else like a tree farm. Okay, there's something else I want to mention about this. Oh yeah, you can use it for an XP farm. Might as well mention this one too. I guess they're all technically, they're all fuel. Because like the whole thing we're talking about is using furnaces. I think... Actually, I don't actually have my furnace array in this world here. Maybe at the very end I can mention that. Another benefit with this farm is that you can use it for both as a bone mill farm as well as a fuel source. And then we'll have to mention the difference, because this one you can't use as a bone mill farm. Hey, Artie. Just a big portion of the stream, but field farming is something I've been looking at recently. Oh, nice. What did you think is the best way to get fuel? I kind of came to several conclusions after doing a lot of testing, looking at every single option possible in the game. We looked at literally everything, even turning bone meal into fuel. Okay. Now, like the moss farm, we can use these bone meal. Now, unlike the moss farm, we cannot actually use the bamboo to compost it down into bone meal. And instead, we'll have to use it directly for fuel or as a wood farm. Okay. I don't really need to mention the whole fuel thing. I think I'll mention at the very end because technically all these farms use fuel and they all can be used to get XPs. Oh, na, 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 na. What other ones can be self-sustaining fuel? I think it's... What we need to look for is something that can be put in the top that is easy to farm up. So the wood farm is option. We already know the kelp farm is option. Actually smelt. Oh, okay, to get smooth quartz. Smelt it. Huh. Hear about that. Or is it to get cracked version? Cracked. Okay. Could use a cobble farm, but that most likely uses TNT. Okay, we'll definitely have to remember to mention this. So far, love is good for manual, says Artie. Very good. Burn time, kelp plus crafter is pretty good. Automate just requires a lot of space. Bamboo is big enough and good, especially on through crafter. Make planks from it. Yeah, it's kind of a similar conclusion we came to it. But we also came to some other conclusions, like if allowed, you know, carpet duper is kind of the best. Okay. No, I think last one we had to really talk about is the kelp farm. Let's go back to our other world. Pop, 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 pop. Pop, pop, pop. But the one that has one of the... But out of the four, But out of the final four, the kelp blocks actually has quite a few benefits. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Farming up kelp is relatively similar to farming up bamboo, but the main difference is we have to have them growing in water or flowing water. Where the main difference is we have to have them growing inside of water sources or flowing water. They do grow a bit differently than bamboo, so rather than detecting how high they grow, since they can grow random heights, we base it off of time. So you can either use a, we base it off of how much time goes by, and an easy way to do this is by using a daylight sensor. Every time a day goes by, it's going to activate a counter here which counts up to 5. If you don't sleep away nights, this works fine. Otherwise, you can make the counter count to 10 if you're on like a server where they constantly skip the night. Then after the counter gets up to a total of 5, it's going to activate some redstone, which is going to activate the fly machine, which is going to fly through and break the kelp. And just like the bamboo farm, we can choose to make the fly machine out of slime, or if it's easier to get honey, you can use honey blocks. Okay, let's wait for the leg to go by. Can't really see much. And once broken, the kelp will actually try to float to the top of the water. And at the very top here, we put in some flowing water before... Well, I'm gonna have to turn it down or something. Maybe I will turn down, because it's lagging. Pop. And we got this flowing water by putting it in first and then releasing the floor, which created the rest of the water. Flowing water is going to push all the items up against this wall here, and then it's going to slide down the wall across the entire length of the farm. Dude, that's quite a bit of prime leg. Once it falls down into the water, we have I made a water stream which is all on one level, and we'll push everything to the far side here. The kelp's then being picked up by multiple hoppers so it can take in the insane amount of kelp which it produces. Where the heck is all the kelp going? Down here. Oh, we just can't see them turned on. Okay, here they come. Then the kelp is being moved over top of some furnaces where it's distributing it across all of these. Where it's distributing the kelp inside of each of these smokers, which are a little bit faster than a normal furnace. which are twice as fast as a normal furnace. They are converting the raw kelp down into dried kelp. And then the dried kelp is being picked up from underneath of this and being transported all the way around and over here to the auto crafter. Crafter is automatically putting the dried kelp together and producing kelp blocks, which are then being sent upwards and into this hopper line here. This line then moves them across over top of each of the fuel sources for the furnace, for the smokers. That way we can continue to keep these full and use the exact same kelp which we harvest, use the exact same kelp that we smoked in order to fuel the next batch of kelp. And the way I set this up is a simple way of doing this, although it does waste 2 stacks of kelp for every smoker, but you can fill in the rest of the hoppers so that the next kelp blocks move down to the next one. After it goes through fueling all the different furnaces, anything that is left over at the end here is extra kelp that is being sustained by the farm. You can see there is a ton of kelp blocks being produced. And you can see there is a ton of kelp blocks being produced by this farm. And it produces 12,000 smelts per hour per one of these big farms. On top of that, it also actually... On top of that, since it's actually cooking down the kelp, for every kelp that goes through the system, it's producing some XPs which are being stored up inside of the smoker. Which means besides being a source of fuel, you could also lock the hopper underneath, and then you could manually pull out one of these items. And then when you do this, it will also give you all the XPs for the kelp that you pulled out, plus all the previous ones that were smelted in the system. You can see I got up to level 25 just by pulling out items from one smoker. And this can be done to all the smokers, which makes it a great source of stored up XPs. So anytime you want to, you can just come in, grab a bunch of XPs, and use them however you need. So on top of the smelts, we also get 6,000. So we get the extra bonus of 614 XPs per hour, or up to level 21. Okay. Now we need to... I need to kind of compare this with other ones. I guess let's go to the tree farm. It's probably the best example of this. How big is that kelp farm? It's 4 chunks long, as wide as a fly machine. How much fuel do you need to prime it? Well, I don't consider that because once you prime it, completed. Did I? Oh, I forgot. I fuel it using azaleas. But whatever, we can fuel it using. Oh, that's... Now, out of all the other farms that we looked at, the only other one which can give you XPs all on its own is this tree farm here. As it will smelt stuff down into coal. As it will smelt stuff down into charcoal. And once again, you can automatically... And then you could also lock the hopper and pull it out to get all the XPs that were ever used to smelt up the items. Let's go to my original bamboo farm. I think it has a smelter in it. Oh, it's all backed up. Okay. Might take a while to clear up. I guess I could just remove these hoppers. Okay. Clear out this. Okay. Shouldn't be too long. Grab some cactus. I think I was using cactus. Papa. Now when it comes to other types of fuel sources like bamboo, it won't be able to use it just... Now when it comes to other types of fuel sources like bamboo, you won't be able to just have it automatically produce XPs because you need something for it to actually cook, and you can't cook bamboo itself. So you'll need to combine this with another type of farm, such as like a cactus farm or like a cobblestone farm, which will have items that go into like a furnace array. My furnace array here will automatically collect the correct amount of items, and then we'll divide them up among all of the different furnaces. And if you want to take a look at this furnace array, I'll have it linked down below. If you want to take a look at this furnace array, I'll have the video linked down below. Now there is a wide variety of things that you can use as something to cook up. Now you can use your furnace arrays to cook up a wide variety of things, from different types of foods, to ores, which isn't always efficient, to raw ores, to actual ore blocks, which isn't recommended, which is better to use a fortune on, which is better to use a fortune pickaxe on. You also can smelt down old gear. You can also smelt down gear that you get from different farms, like a gold farm and the gold swords, as well as quite a few different types of blocks in the game. Some of them are pretty easy to acquire, such as like our cactus or even sea pickles. Okay, so I think I want to go back and finish talking about the kelp farm. I might kind of edit it with the kelp farm part a little bit towards the beginning. I think we should finish off by talking about the generalization of fuel farms. And unlike a bamboo farm, we can actually use the kelp also as a composter, so we can compost it down to make some bone meal. We can compost it down to make a bone meal farm. Now the downside is just like the bamboo, we also do need to have the player within 8 chunks of the farm in order for it to naturally grow up. And you could Now if you would choose to turn around and use bone meal in order to bone meal the kelp, it will only make it grow 1 time each time. Which isn't as efficient as using it for like a tree farm. But it's still twice as efficient as using the bone meal to grow up the... But it's still twice as efficient as using the bone meal to grow up bamboo. but is still twice as efficient. Compared to, but comparing it to using it on bamboo, it is twice as efficient. In which case you could have a dispenser bone milling your kelp and you wouldn't need to have a player there, only would have to have it inside of loaded chunks. Which is a great option if you don't want to use like TNT dupers to make a tree farm, but instead want to combine a moss farm and want to convert that into a fuel source, and taking the extra moss and taking the extra bone meal which it produces and using the extra bone meal it produced to automatically grow up kelp. For a playerless fuel source. Oh, we got a raid. Welcome in. Tings Minecraft. How was your stream? What were you up to? Thanks for coming in with the raid. You had some fun. Guessing you're playing Minecraft? Let us know. Oh, it says there's an ad break. Okay. Let's do the shout out at it's gonna end pretty soon. Okay, ad is finished. We got raid from Tings Minecraft. How was your stream? Welcome in. Thanks for raiding me. Welcome in. We also got Sword Wolf here in the chat. There's a shout out. Last playing some Minecraft. Awesome. What were you doing in your world? If you guys don't know who I am, I'm RazeWorks, a YouTuber streamer. I've been playing Minecraft for almost 15 years. And I love designing automatic farms and machines to make a simple, lovely experience in your Minecraft worlds. Currently, we're looking at what is the best fuel sources for 1.21 when autocrafters are going to be introduced to the full release. Currently have them in game so we can play around with them. And we came up with a lot of cool conclusions, which I'll put together for a video. So I'm actually recording a video as I'm streaming. Try to kill a clown pierce on an SMP. Wait, what's a clown pierce? Is it like a boss? Didn't work out well. Cannot wait for autocrafters. This is going to be so exciting. Like one of the biggest redstone updates since 1.5 hoppers. I don't know. I think hoppers still beat out crafters, but I think crafters are number 2. Because hoppers actually can pick up items without a player there. And kind of like crafters can craft items without a player there. They do have some similarities. Okay. Talked about how much the farm produces. I don't know if there's anything. There's probably more I need to talk about. Really tough. He's a really tough Minecraft YouTuber. Oh, considered one of the best for like PvP. You're talking about? Yeah. What's the whole PvP community? Is it still like playing a 1.8? My brother used to be really into Minecraft PvP, and he was like rank 1 in Hypixel in some minigames. He was like really good at PvP. I mean, probably a special type of PvP because there's so many types. No, 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 no. Player base has moved to modern version, but it's modern version, but it still has old mechanics, right? Like you're not using the slow sweep, are you? Is it still span sweeping? Well, it's kind of unfortunate that it got left behind, but we should be seeing, you know, a PvP update pretty soon. Nope, slow sweeping and shields. Really, that's you saying the majority of people moved over to that? Wow, I did not expect that. Isn't Hypixel use the spamming though, or can you choose how you want to play? Okay, Hypixel start 1 to 8. You're saying the majority of people aren't playing PvP on Hypixel? Really? I thought most of like Badline and stuff. I thought they closed. I thought most PvP was done in these bigger servers now. Okay. Okay, so let's do a conclusion. And there's probably some pieces I'm missing. When I'm editing the video, I'll try to think of anything extra. Oh, thanks for giving Tings a shout out. Wait, so we still got a mod in the chat? I don't know which mod we still have. Maybe alt key. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, ba, ba. So in conclusion, it really comes down to if you're allowed to use dupers or if you want to try to make it work without having the player there at all. Now that you know all the details of how it works, let me know which fuel source you think is the best for you. Okay, and then we can do the outro. Should also probably do the intro, though I'm kind of tired. Human already 3 hours. We can do a temporary intro. So Tings, what server do people normally do PvP on if it's not Hypixel? Probably turn this one back on again. Up, up, up. Up, up. Up, up, up. Save this clip starting here for the next talking point. Okay, I'll use that for the outro. Now I can do some words to go along with it. Is Ting still in chat? Papa. Now learn how to build all these simple yet effective farms that I've showed throughout the video with this playlist here, which is all part of my series where I'm trying to design an automatic farm for everything in the game of Minecraft. If you enjoyed this technical look at the If you enjoy this exhaustive list of all types of fuels and the best ones for you, consider becoming a supporter of mine by joining as a YouTube member. Otherwise, you can always leave a like on the video and share it with someone. And share it with a fellow Minecrafter. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye! Whew, okay. That's the outro. Now we can do the intro. Grab some more water. Intro. Okay, I think I know what I want to say. Auto crafters in Minecraft change. Okay, auto crafters in Minecraft change so much about the game. Auto crafters in Minecraft change so much about the game, including how we smelt up things. Including the best way to smelt up them. Including the best fuel sources for smelting things. Including the best fuel for cooking things. Okay, that's a pretty good start. I might change it up. I always want the intro to be like the best part of the video besides the title and the thumbnail. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to keep the intro short. I kind of want to get to the meat of things pretty fast in the video. I think I'll keep it like that because I remember I recorded the rest of the intro and I say something like there's 55 different fuel sources and we're going to find the best one or something like that. And I think that's a pretty good continuation of it. There's really no reason to mention my farm everything document because we're not specifically looking at farms. I mean, some of these are farms, but majority we're looking at fuel, like a fuel farm, I guess. You consider a fuel farm. It's not like you're farming a specific item or mob or block. You're farming fuel, which is a bit bizarre to say, but I guess fuel farm is a thing because you're trying to farm something, kind of like an XP farm, right? Like an XP farm doesn't fall into like the normal category of item farms. It's definitely a farm. I think people would agree on that. Okay. So yeah, that's the intro, and I can put some more overlays for the intro. But I'm pretty satisfied. I mean, it's gonna take me a while to edit this. Hopefully I get the video out tomorrow. I'm gonna have to work all today in order to get it close to being complete. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Alrighty. I have been streaming for 3.5 hours. We'll find somebody to raid. Stick around, guys, so we can raid his big party. While get the raiding party going, take the time, check out all my socials. Make sure you guys are still subscribed to me on YouTube with the bell notification set to all. Sometimes YouTube will unsubscribe you. And you can also see what I'm up to on like my Discord. You can join that. Twitter, Patreon, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit. It's all free, so you guys might as well join them all if you have those. Who should we raid? Let's raid. Always raid someone new too. Let's see. Just see what people are up to. Always good to check for new people, what they're doing. Try to look for people that are playing vanilla survival. Usually the best bet is, and also someone that's English too. I know my audience is English. There's actually quite a few people that aren't English speaking. Punk. French. There's all sorts of type of interesting Minecraft streams. A lot of them are modded. Enchantment hunting. Oh, it's called modded Minecraft. Okay, well, he's probably playing modded Minecraft then. I wish there was a way to sort out like the modded Minecraft and the non-English speaking. I guess you could look for like tags like English speaking. Usually the easiest is if I just find a hardcore Minecraft streamer. Well, maybe we'll just raid someone that we raided in the past. That'll be the easiest. And then maybe I'll spend some other time off stream looking for potential people we can raid in the future. Sorry to have you guys wait, but let's raid Zanding. Zanding is a hardcore Minecraft player. He's been working his world for 3 years. Let's see if we get all you guys could join in for the raid. Get some really cool builds going on. See how the building's going for them. This is for a mature audience, so I guess you guys know about that. And as always, if you guys could copy the raid message in chat, we'll paste that to his stream. Get everybody to copy the message. Spam into his chat, show him some love. Throw in some hype motes.